yesterday when I was editing out episode number 1, I was thinking, why is it that when I first drilled this hole out, the little brass tube just sort of fell all the way through? It was just perfect. Now all of a sudden it seems tight. I was thinking, did the wood shrink inside there? And then I remembered that afterwards I had taken my air compressor and I had blown air through there real fast. And I was noticing when I was editing that at one time I drilled a hole or a screw or something in there, and I think I probably dislodged a little sliver of some kind. Anyway, what I've done is I've sacrificed a piece of acrylic here. I'm not big on purple, so I'll probably never use that one. And look, it's perfect. So the 23/64 is just right. Now, since I cut this blank the exact right length for this brass tube, I may as well take advantage of that and just use it as a pattern here, and then I can save having to do a lot of extra measuring. That should work. And this one. I'll just cut a little bit bigger than that line, maybe a 1/64 of an inch. Normally what I would do is I probably would hang on to this with my fingers like this. And I would have at least 1/4 of an inch clearance from the edge of this blade. But being as I'm videoing this, and I want to set a good example for the new people that are into woodworking, I'm going to do it like this. Keep my fingers away from the blade. The idea is that as soon as it cuts off, it'll pull away, instead of maybe catching on something and flipping up and hitting me in the face. And all I've got on is just eye protection right now. Anyway, here we go. Now, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but the vibration of the blade cutting on the blank sort of allowed the blank to slide a little bit. It's very slippery anyway. It's sort of like nylon against steel. And I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to rig up a little clamping system so that I can clamp it like this. That way it'll probably help to eliminate that. Now, of course, hindsight is a way better than foresight. I could have used a sled. That would have helped a little bit. But even better, why didn't I use the adjustable stop that is on the fence? Anyway, came out okay. I did the blue one exactly the same way. Now we're ready for the barrel trimmer, but not until we get the brass tube completely cleaned out. The brass tubes now are completely cleaned out, and as I've mentioned before, that's very important before you press. Anyway, like with the last kit I turned, I don't have a barrel trimmer shaft exactly the right size. This is just a little bit too small. However, this brass tube will fit inside the brass tube on the kit that I'm turning, and then this barrel trimmer will fit inside that brass tube. Now there's a change in plans here. I've decided I'm going to do all 4 pens, and I'm going to do them all 4 the same way. I'll explain later why I want an extra set. I am just about ready to turn here. Problem is, I've got a little problem. And I've had this little problem as long as I've had my lathe. And I don't know if I want to try and fix it today or try and just live with it one more time. But anyway, I'll show you what it is. Well, this is the problem. Because my tool rest is so long, I can't get it up close to my blank. Not, at least not as close as I'd like. And I know I can go sort of like this, and it's getting there, but you know, then it's not straight. So you're going to say, well, you got a shorter tool rest, why don't you use it? Well, I'll show you why. I bought this tool rest thinking it would fit this lathe. As you can see, it won't. You know, it's way too short. Now what I can do, and what I usually do, is I'll put it in so that it's going to just barely catch on the bolt that's going in there. Just let it down just a little, and then I'll tighten it up. And it's not real secure. Now sometimes I'll put a bolt in from each side. You can see there's a hole here, there's a hole there, and I'll put a bolt in, and it'll help. But it'd be really nice if I could get it up just a little bit higher, maybe 1/4 inch. Now there's 2 things I can do here. I can either lengthen this, you know, but then I have to have a shaft that's the same diameter as this, or I can raise this up. And I'm thinking that the easiest thing is to just raise this up, build it up with something. And that's pretty near a series all in itself. So I don't think I'm going to do that today. I think I'm going to just put up with the long tool rest. I've used it before, hundreds of times. And I'll get in just as close as I can here and hope for the best. You'll remember when I was doing a piece of acrylic there, I think it was I don't know if it was the last series or the series before last, and I was having problems with the acrylic grabbing. Well, I think that's probably because I was too far away from it. And also a lot of the viewers thought that I should spin it as fast as it'll go. So I'm going to try that here. You know, I'm going to crank it up a bit. See what happens. Anyway, here we go with the acrylic. Well, it appears that these are the same size. So it's not like this one, say, was smaller and I knew I was going to have to sort of taper down to a nib end. I guess I can just sort of round it over the same amount. I'm not going to make them as thick as I made the last acrylic, his and hers. I mean, it's fat, not thick. And yeah, anyway, I'm putting off the inevitable here, aren't I? Let's get at it. Okay, my plan here now is to turn it up to about 2500 RPM. Now, while you're watching this blank being turned here, would be a really good time to explain why it is I want to get some extra pens and pen sets, stocked up here. And what's happening is, well, first of all, there's a little town just south of Winnipeg by the name of Carman. And in that town, there's a place that it's a non-profit charitable organization, and what they do is they look after developmentally challenged people, mostly young people. And they have a golf tournament every September. Well, not every, but recently anyway. And what they do is they collect various little items, for prizes and for an auction, and in other words, for a fundraiser. So that's what I want the extra pens for. Thought you'd like to know. Well, that's it for the sandpaper. I worked my way right up to 1500 grit there. There's a bit of a shine to it, but not as much as there's going to be after I do the wet sanding. And I want to do the wet sanding all at once, so I only have to set up the lathe once for wet sanding instead of 4 times. So we'll take this one off and we'll do the sandpaper thing on the other 3, but I guess that's going to be tomorrow. It's getting pretty late. Thanks for watching.